Camera angles. The way you shoot the angles of a photo or a video are essential to setting the tone and how you want to portray the subject. Camera angles and movements combine to create a sequence of images, just as words, word order, and punctuation combine to make the meaning of a sentence. You need a straightforward set of key terms to describe them.
It's the same thing. You have to have your own perspective, your own way of seeing, I suppose, if that's not too pretentious.
These are basic camera angles. This is an extreme long shot. This can be taken from as much as a quarter of a mile away and is generally used as a scene setting establishing shot. It normally shows an exterior like the outside of a building or a landscape and is often used to show scenes of thrilling action like in a war film or a disaster movie. There will be very little detail visible in the shot, and it's meant to give a general impression rather than specific information. This is a long shot. This is the most difficult to categorize precisely, but is generally one which shows the image as approximately life-size. This category includes the full shot showing the entire human body with the head near the top of the frame and the feet near the bottom. While the focus is on characters, plenty of background detail still emerges. This is a medium shot. It usually contains a figure from the knees, waist up, and is normally used for dialogue scenes, or to show some detail of action. Background detail is minimal, probably because location has already been established in the scene and the audience already knows where they are and now want to focus on dialogue and character interaction. A variation in this category is the over-the-shoulder shot, which positions the camera behind one figure, revealing the other figure and part of the first figure's back, head and shoulder. This is a close-up shot. This shows very little background and concentrates on either a face or a specific detail within the scene. Everything else is just a blur in the background. The intention of the shot is to emphasize something of importance, be it words written on paper, an object, or the expression on someone's face. When it's the expression of someone's face, this shot is supposed to create this feeling of intimacy between the character within the scene and the audience. Whether it be a character that we despise or a character that we love, we get into the mind of the character through the actor's expression. There's this excellent example within the movie Her where the main character's face is in close-up within the opening shot, and this not only helps sets the tone about how this movie is supposed to be an intimate journey this man goes through, but it helps us get it within the mind of the character as well. In reality, we only let people that we really trust get that close to our face. Mothers, children's, lovers, usually, so a close-up of the face is intended to be a very intimate shot. This is an extreme close-up shot. As the name suggests, this is the extreme version of the close-up, generally magnifying beyond what the human eye would experience in reality, thus giving the audience this uncomfortable omnipotence. An extreme close-up is often used for a face, for instance, would show only the mouth or eyes with no background detail whatsoever. This very artificial shot is often used for dramatic effect or comedic effect, depending on the context of the film, because in a comedic movie they would often exaggerate the shot, but then for a dramatic effect they would use this shot to establish scope within the scene, whether it be the dramatic intensity within a dialogue scene, or oftentimes they would use the reflection of the eyes or glasses to establish what is going on from the perspective of the character. The tight focus required means that extra care must be taken when setting up and lighting the shot. The slightest camera shake or error in focal length is very noticeable. This is a bird's eye view shot. This shows a scene from directly overhead, a very unnatural and strange angle, but in contrast to the extreme close-up angle which gave the audience this sense of uncomfortable omnipotence, the bird's eye view gives the audience this sense of omnipotence as well, but there's more of a disconnect from the scene and the audience, as this shot is often used to convey the message of helplessness within the scene as we are disconnected from what is transpiring within the scene, or give off the weight of what is happening when viewed from the perspective of a character. People can be made to look insignificant and ant-like within this. This is a high-angle shot. This is not so extreme as a bird's eye view, as the bird's eye view explicitly evoked this feeling of disconnection from the audience and gave the audience this godlike position from the scene. Where the high angle shot isn't exactly like that, it still gives this message of having the characters feel insignificant within the scene as they're being swallowed up by the setting. The camera is often elevated above the action to give a general overview, so the high angles make the object photographed seem smaller or less significant. This is an eye level shot, a fairly neutral shot where the camera is positioned as though it is a human actually observing a scene, so that actors' heads are on a level with the focus. The camera will be placed approximately 5 to 6 feet from the ground. This is a low angle shot. These increase height and give a sense of speeded motion. In contrast to the high angle shot, the low angle shot's intention is to make the object that is within the shot feel intimidating or significant. Low angles help give a sense of confusion to a viewer or powerlessness within the action of the scene, depending on where you place the camera, because if it is the over the head shot, then of course they're going to feel insignificant as they're observing something that is huge. The background of a low angle shot will tend to be just sky or the ceiling, the lack of detail about the setting adding to the disorientation of the viewer. This is an oblique or cannon shot, sometimes called the Dutch angle. Sometimes the camera is tilted to suggest imbalance, transition, and instability, which is often used in horror films, but you can also see it within films like Les Miserables, which is kind of abundant with that kind of angle. This technique is also used to suggest point of view shots. For example, when the camera becomes the eyes of one particular character, seeing what they see.